It was winter time on the island of Sodor, and the railway was covered in a thick blanket of white. The engines had to work even harder than usual to complete their jobs on time. Stepney, the bluebell engine, was visiting the island for the winter season. He was excited to be back with all of his friends. "My driver says there's more snow coming tomorrow," said Toby one morning. "And you know what that means, don't you, Thomas?" laughed Percy. "We have to wear our snow plows." "Ooh, I hate that silly old thing," he replied angrily. "Will I have to wear a snowplow as well?" Stepney asked curiously. "Yes," replied Thomas, "and you can borrow my old one if you like. I hate that ratty old thing even more than my usual one." And sure enough, when the engines awoke the next morning, a fresh layer of snow covered the tracks. Soon, the Fat Controller had arrived at the sheds. "Shumish and Stepney, you will be helping Choby and Percy with shunting trucks at the quarry before your passenger duties. There's a big shipment of stone due to the docks at tea time, and it mustn't be late. It's heavy, so 2 engines will have to take it." "Yes, sir," the engines replied, but Thomas wasn't very happy. "First I have to wear my snowplow, and now this?" he fumed. "It's not fair." Stepney tried to comfort his friend. "Don't worry, Thomas," he said kindly. "We can all work to shunt the trucks, then Percy and I can deliver them to the docks. That way you can get back to pulling Annie and Clarabelle as soon as possible." Before long, the engines had puffed quickly up to the quarry. When they arrived, they found the yards in disarray. Empty trucks were everywhere. "We better get going," tooted Stepney, but Thomas wasn't so eager. "I just want to go back to pulling passengers," he grumbled. "Remember, Thomas, the faster we work, the sooner you can get back to your usual job." "I suppose you're right," he said reluctantly. Before long, the yard had been cleared, and a long line of trucks had been arranged. The engines were quite proud. "Now that wasn't so bad, was it?" Stepney teased. Thomas smiled. "You're right. Now I can go back to my branch line." But just then, the yard manager walked up. "I'm afraid Percy has been called away for an emergency at the docks, and Toby has to take the workmen to another job. Thomas, you will need to go with Stepney." Thomas was not happy to hear this at all. "But I thought I was going to pull my passengers," he fumed. "They will be most upset if my service is canceled for the day. Oh, if that Bertie the bus will steal them away from me, I'm sure of it." But Stepney had an idea. "I'm sure I can handle the trucks myself," he said. "After all, I do like a good long run." Thomas should have known better, but he was so eager to return to his branch line that he agreed. Before long, the old snowplow had been fitted to Stepney, and he was coupled to a long train. "Good luck," Thomas tooted as he left to fetch his coaches. Stepney started off and felt the heavy drag of the trucks at once. "Come on, come on, come on." Stepney struggled down the line with the heavy trucks. "Steady," called his driver. "You're slipping." Stepney didn't know the route as well as Thomas did. He didn't realize that here, the line began to slope downhill. He also had to realize that Thomas's old plow wasn't attached properly. As he reached the beginning of the hill, he began to speed up. Then, "Bust my buffers!" exclaimed Stepney. His driver tried to stop, but the weight of the trucks pushed them on, straight into a snowdrift. "Cinders and ashes!" exclaimed Stepney. "We shan't go any further now," said his driver. Just then, Thomas arrived. He was shocked when he saw Stepney. "Oh, dear!" he cried. "This is all my fault! I'll go and get help at once." Before long, Thomas had arrived with the breakdown crane. The Fat Controller had arrived too, and he was most upset. "You should have known that Stepney couldn't handle these trucks on his own," he scolded. "You will shut trucks in the yard until I can trust you again." "Yes, sir," said Thomas sadly. "I'm sorry, sir." Then he looked at Stepney. "I'm sorry too, Stepney. I was selfish, and look where it got you." "It's all right," replied Stepney kindly. "You didn't mean for this to happen, and I can certainly see why you didn't like your old plough. Snow ploughs can be useful, but not when they don't stay at the front of the train where they belong." Thomas heartily agreed.